Anupam, you've had a spectacular run with NIFFA. This is the final red carpet that we had. So take me a little through what this entire journey of ups and downs, mostly ups, I think, has been like.
No, there have been downs as well. I don't think there is any journey which is only ups, because unless you have the downs, you don't know the pleasure of the ups. So the last few days have been incredible, overwhelming with support from my target audience, which was always going to be non-Indians, because I wanted to celebrate Indian cinema, the depth and width of Indian cinema culture with them, not just the usual run-of-the-mill mainstream films they see in theatres which come here anyway. So that is, we started on 13th. It was supposed to be a one-weekend festival. It now turned out to be from 13th of February to 2nd of March, 7 cities, almost a fortnight, 7 cities, and then came Excel Entertainment, who were very close to me because of the Dil Chahta Hai experience. We were the Australian production services company. So Superboys of Malegaon, Rome Mein ending it, and NFDC and NB Ministry giving us a package of films in 16 different languages, gave us the ammunition power so we could start going around and be proud about this festival. But a lot of people might say this festival started on the 13th of February, but the whole journey began long time ago, not 98 when Mr. Feroz Khan shot a film here with Fardeen, not 2000 when history was created with Dil Chahta Hai, not in the 1780s when Bob Christo, an Australian, became a huge hit in India. But I guess 1934, when a blue-eyed blonde from Perth, Mary Evans, became the iconic fearless Nadia Hunterwali in India. And Australia, India have always had this amazing relationship, whether it's sporadic, because I believe, Ananya, that Australia is one of the most professional film countries in the world. If you look at per capita film institutes and stuff, India is the most prolific film industries in the world. And the marriage between the two is an amazing win-win situation. So it has been a good journey so far, but with a co-production treaty now, with platforms like NIFFA, with the amazing support we are getting from Screen Australia, Screen Queensland, Screen West, all the state funding bodies, huge support from Indian missions and the High Commission, I believe the journey has just begun and the best lies ahead of us.
And the journey has been, today is the 27th, so it's been 14 days, right?
14 days of trying to create history. The first Indian film to have 7 red carpets in 7 cities, each one being hosted either by the Consul General or being graced by a minister or the High Commissioner. It has been amazing to see non-Indian audience flock in to have panel discussions on how we can improve relationships with India. But most importantly, Ananya, showing Australians the films they get to rarely see on big screen. And that is where the purity, the depth, the richness of cinema lies. At the end of the day, it is the theatre.
It's also, you are in a way changing the narrative that has been set by the West, because we're used to seeing, the West is used to seeing India in there's a certain gaze, as you say.
Yeah, I call it the imperialistic gaze. The gaze is stereotypical, and the gaze is always towards our poverty. Some might call it poverty porn. Yes, this exists. We don't deny that. But there is more to India. And I think in the modern day world, you would have noticed this as well as a journalist, as a film reviewer, that there is a huge call for cultural authenticity, which means we will show the films we want to show, we will make them the way we want to make them, rather than having a myopic, outside, stereotypical focus on poverty.
And it's also, Australia and India, we have a shared history, we share a colonizer. So in that way, I think NIFFA is doing great work in kind of inverting that somewhere.
It is, and that's one of the aims and objectives. And, we are grateful that organizations like NDTV or Dendi here or others who are supporting us are helping us in doing it. And the whole focus is on not having a focus on a stereotypical aspect. And that is what we find very interesting. And I think the remarks I'm getting from my non-Indian colleagues, filmmakers, other people, has been quite emotional. Ben Ulm, who is one of the leading creative directors with a huge series of scripted and unscripted TV credits, he came to the premier red carpet in Sydney, saw Superboys of Malegaon, and his WhatsApp was, I just want to make feature films like Superboys of Malegaon. Because as I was telling your colleague, there is a Nasir, there is a Superboy of Malegaon in all of us. So to find that nerves, to start something new is divine.
So you, of course, speaking of starting something new, you are the person who moved from India to Australia long ago. And now, for those of who you don't know, Anupam is the guy, if you have an Indian film and you need to do something with it in Australia, he's the person you come to. So tell me about your journey in Australia.
It was a journey which started with my love for Australia. I used to come here. My grandparents were the first bunch of doctors who moved here. And then I got inspired by Saransh, Anupam Saransh, who later became my mentor. And at Saransh, I decided that I have to pursue films professionally. I had no romantic idea of running away from home, being an assistant director. I went to the Film Institute. I was too young for it. I went to NSD. I was too young for it. And because we had an Australian permanent residency, I came here. My first choice was electronic engineering. My dad was very happy and he said, congratulations. I said, but I'm taking my second choice, which was bachelor's in filmmaking, acting and directing. Then doing the master's. And then realizing that after a certain while, if we stay in the academics, we are looking for safety. So my supervisor said, what do you want to do, Anu? And I said, I want to make films. He said, go, get out there and make films. So tried my hand and everything, and one of the most bizarre filmy meeting I had was with Mr. Feroz Khan, who ended up hiring me as his head of production. Again, ran to my supervisor, Ross Harley. I said, I don't want to do producing. He said, Anu, what do you want to do? I said, I want to make films. And he said, well, you will always struggle creatively. Now you decide whether you want to struggle waiting tables or you want to struggle running your own production company. So Mr. Feroz Khan started a trend, and we were so spoiled with our first 7 projects. It was Mr. Feroz Khan, then Mr. Rakesh Roshan, then Mr. Yash Chopra, then Aditya Chopra, then it was Harry Baveja, then Dil Chahta Hai, and suddenly we found ourselves in the center of everything. And while we were catering for them, Ananya, we were also making sure that we are creating an opportunity, because selfishly it was important for me for the playing field to be nice. So whether it was doing seminars pro bono in India, whether it was doing workshops, we did all kinds of things, did all kinds of projects for, all the way to 2010-11. And then my lovely wife Shelja made a comment that, I'm married a filmmaker, you've become a producer. So we turned everything down and we started telling our own features. We set up a film fund, then we got Brett Lee to be the lead actor in my first film, UnIndian. And now we are very, very at peace at home, in the sense that we are making films, features in an area where I'm comfortable with, in an area where I have cultural knowledge, between Australia and India. As I proudly say, we make only India-centric stories for a global audience out of Australia.
Speaking of, I'm glad that you brought up UnIndian, which was the film where you made Brett Lee act and speak Hindi. So tell me how that came about.
Well, I didn't make him do anything. You guys know him as a cricketer, but I have always worked with him being a performer, whether I'm doing a TV commercial with him, whether I was doing a TV series with him, or whether I was observing him sing with Asha Ji, the famous music video. So when this film came to me by a Sri Lankan writer, it had a beating heart of a divorcee Indian mother falling in love with a blonde man. And when I sent him the script and he said, yes, both of us agreed, let's not announce it, because the last thing we want is egg on our faces. So we got one of the leading voice coaches, Bill Pepper, and another drama coach, not to teach him acting or teach him voice, but to honestly and bluntly tell us whether it would work. And after 2 days of workshop, they came back and they said, he's amazing. He works well, he's a charmer. Because it was his first film, we played safe, we had 2 cameras set up, and we got him a great actress to banter with in Tannishtha Chatterjee. And the rest is history. We're very proud of the film because it created new pathways in many ways. And people tell me that after, I think, 9-10 years of making, it's still showing in India on Disney Hotstar, it's still showing in Australia. We still get comments from people. And I think I got a comment from a Indian female the other day. She goes, I saw myself in Tannishtha, because the film actually shows a mirror on various things. infatuation of white color in India, infatuation of marriages in India. So it dealt with all those things, and yeah, that's something we're very proud of.
And speaking of Tannishtha, her film Rom Rom Mein is actually closing your festival. So how did you zero in on that?
So when we were looking for films, we were very particular to do certain kinds of things, whether it's Superboys of Malegaon, and we were also particular that the films we show have never seen in Australia. And I was talking to Reema Lula, who's now handling Eros Media Productions, and I said, look, I'm looking for films. Tannishtha had told me that she has directed this film. It's a directorial debut. I know it went to Busan, it went to other festivals. And suddenly one of our researchers said, it hasn't screened in Australia. I said, brilliant. And I called them, and all thanks to Eros and thanks to Tannishtha, they said, look, we'd love for it to be a closing night film. And I think it's a nice closing night film. Tannishtha was a lead actress for an Australian film. She also had a very special appearance in another huge Australian film called The Lion. And now her directorial debut is closing the first and only National Indian Film Festival. Is amazing in the same way the opening film is amazing. Excel changed the way Indian films are made and consumed and narrated. Dil Chahta Hai, which we were proud to be part of, and now Superboys of Malegaon, as I said, speaks about filmmaking in the world, and it's the opening films.
And it's nice how I think things have kind of come full circle, right? Because, Dil Chahta Hai, which was Excel, which was perhaps the first big Bollywood film where Australia was, the focus, right?
Yeah. It was scripted, it was a major film which was scripted here. They shot here completely. But it was the way they shot it. They shot something which is close to my heart, is a Western body and Indian soul. And they followed the formula where the body was Western, the way Zoya was the first AD, Reema was the second AD, and how they structured, how they made films was very much Western, but the soul, the music, the emotions were very much Indian. And now it's full circle, and life is just a series of full circles.
So, this is the first edition of NIFFA where we are seeing these amazing movies, and I hope the upcoming editions are even better, even bigger.
Absolutely, definitely better, definitely bigger, because if we can't improve, then we are doing something wrong. And with partners like NDTV here, Dendi in Australia, SBS, and all partners, it's just a delight to create a platform. Because when we started 25 years ago, we were all alone. And now to create a platform where we can provide something to the coming generations. And most importantly, Ananya, provide a platform to tell Indian stories internationally on a global stage, ourselves. Not let a foreigner parachute into our culture and tell us about our own culture, but tell it ourselves. It's I call it earning good filmy karma points.
Yeah, I think this is absolutely extremely good karma points you've earned from what I saw at the premiere right now.
Next year we are hoping. This year we had just 2 months. And the reason we had 2 months was because since COVID, we have been trying to get a festival up, and something or the other was not right. And I always get reminded of Irfan Khan's dialogue in the film Life in a Metro, where he gave a story of how his friend didn't take a Mercedes out for many years because he wanted to take the car out when all the lights would be green. So I went to the team and I said, guys, all the lights will never be the green. Let's take a chance. We took a chance, and this is what we created in 2 months, and we are very excited. I can give an exclusive to NDTV that even before finishing the film festival, we have got invitations, and we are signing up from regional councils in Australia, Ananya, where the population of South Asians is huge. They've got these community organizations, and they're saying, how can we watch the film? So we are launching NIFFA Regional, where the package will go to Dubbo or to other regional towns where there's a huge population of not just Indians, but South Asians. And they are asking for it because they say, look, we get the dances and the songs and all the films, we are proud of them, but we want to tell the depth, the richness of Indian cinema, so we want it. So we're going to be doing workshops in June in Dubbo, and we've got Faces to Watch, where we're going to focus on rising Australian talent of Indian origin, who are going to be mentored by Vivek Vaswani and Tannishtha on how to perform globally. So a lot of stuff there, giving it back to the industry, which has given all of us, you, me, so much.
No, I think this has been amazing. Our journey has been amazing. NIFFA has been amazing so far.
It's just begun.
Yeah, it's just
begun. The journey has just begun.
Okay, so that was Anupam Sharma, co-director of NIFFA. And we are hoping to see more of Anupam in the coming years with more of NIFFA, more of India, more of Australia, more of common stories, more of different stories, and just general stories. So this is Ananya in Melbourne for NDTV.